Barron Trump silences, liberal reporter who tried to humiliate his mom. Melania. It was a crisp spring morning in Washington, D.C., the kind that promised renewal and energy. The White House was bustling with activity as reporters gathered for a scheduled press conference featuring Melania Trump, former First Lady, and now a prominent advocate for children's education and mental health. Known for her calm demeanor and poised presence, Melania had become a symbol of quiet strength over the years. However, her every move was scrutinized by the media, and today would be no exception. Among the reporters in attendance was a prominent liberal journalist, Mark Stanley, notorious for his sharp questions and biting critiques of the Trump family. Stanley had built a reputation for being confrontational, and today he seemed especially prepared to corner Melania. Dressed impeccably in a tailored navy suit, Melania took the podium with her usual grace, ready to discuss her latest initiative. As she outlined her new campaign to provide resources for underserved schools, Stanley raised his hand, his face betraying a smirk. When called upon, he didn't ask about the initiative. Instead, he launched into a thinly veiled attack on her past and character. "Mrs. Trump," he began, his voice dripping with condescension. "Many people question your qualifications to speak on issues like education, given your background and controversial time as First Lady. Do you truly believe anyone takes your efforts seriously?" A murmur rippled through the room. The question was intended to humiliate, to put Melania on the defensive. For a brief moment she paused, maintaining her composure. But before she could respond, a young voice cut through the tension. "Excuse me, but who gave you the right to speak to my mom like that?" All eyes turned to the back of the room, where Barron Trump, now a tall and confident teenager, stood with an expression that mixed indignation and calm defiance. At just 17, Barron had largely stayed out of the public eye, but his sudden interjection commanded the room's attention. "Are you here to report on her work, or are you just here to insult her?" he continued, walking closer to the front. His tone was respectful but firm, his words precise. The room fell silent, as no one had anticipated Barron's presence, let alone his willingness to step into the spotlight. Mark Stanley, visibly taken aback, stammered for a response. I'm just asking a question," he said, trying to regain his footing. Barron didn't let up. "No, you're not," he said, his voice steady. "You're trying to discredit her because you don't agree with our family. But attacking someone's character instead of discussing their work says more about you than it does about her." The room erupted into murmurs again, this time in admiration. Barron's unexpected defense of his mother had shifted the energy entirely. As Melania looked at her son, a rare but radiant smile crossed her face. It was clear she hadn't expected him to speak, but his words carried a weight that resonated deeply. For the first time, the poised and silent Barron Trump had stepped into the spotlight, and he had done so with a maturity and eloquence that left everyone stunned. As the murmurs in the room grew louder, Mark Stanley struggled to regain his footing. The reporter, known for his razor-sharp questions, found himself on the receiving end of an unexpected and pointed critique by a teenager. Barron Trump's words had struck a chord not just with those in the room, but also with millions watching the press conference live. Melania Trump, standing at the podium, took a moment to compose herself. Her son's intervention had clearly touched her, but she knew the conference needed to proceed. Before she could speak, Barron continued, his gaze fixed on the journalist. "You ask if people take her seriously," he said, his voice calm yet commanding. "Do you know how many children's lives she's changed with her initiatives? How many schools now have better resources because of her efforts? You don't see that because you're too busy trying to tear her down." The room remained silent, every journalist captivated by Barron's unexpected speech. Mark Stanley's face turned red, a mix of embarrassment and frustration. He was used to controlling the narrative, not being challenged, especially by someone so young. "I think we all know why you're asking that question," Barron added, his tone unwavering. "It's easier for some people to criticize than to contribute." Melania stepped forward, gently placing a hand on her son's shoulder. "Thank you, Barron," she said softly, her voice carrying a mixture of pride and gratitude. Turning back to the audience, she addressed the room. I believe we are here to focus on the children and their future, not to entertain personal attacks. My work speaks for itself, and I welcome any constructive questions about how we can help more schools and families in need. The room shifted back to professionalism, with other reporters stepping in to ask legitimate questions about the initiative. Yet, Barron's words lingered in the air, setting a new tone for the event. Meanwhile, social media exploded with reactions. Clips of Barron's impromptu speech were shared across platforms, with hashtags like Barron defends Melania and Barron speaks trending within minutes. Opinions poured in from all corners, some praising his courage and eloquence, others questioning why he had stepped in at all. Back at the press conference, Mark Stanley remained unusually quiet, his earlier confidence shaken. Barron's boldness had turned the tables, forcing him to reflect on the moment. He glanced at his notepad, where his next line of questioning was scribbled, but he couldn't bring himself to ask another disparaging question. As the event concluded, Melania and Barron left the room together, walking side by side. The crowd of reporters parted, many offering nods of respect to both mother and son. Outside, the duo was greeted by cheering supporters who had gathered after seeing the viral clips. Barron, unaccustomed to such public attention, stayed close to his mother, but his quiet confidence shone through. Little did they know, this moment would spark a larger conversation about respect, media accountability, and the unexpected strength of the youngest Trump family member. The aftermath of Barron Trump's bold defense created shockwaves far beyond the walls of the press conference. News outlets quickly picked up the story, with headlines ranging from Barron Trump silences reporter with poise beyond his years to Teen Trump stands up for his mother, shocking critics. Social media was flooded with reactions, and the debate surrounding the incident grew heated. Supporters of Melania and Barron praised his maturity and composure, calling it a testament to his upbringing and values. Many pointed out how rare it was for a teenager, let alone one under such a harsh spotlight, to speak with such clarity and conviction. Clips of the moment were shared endlessly, showing Barron calmly addressing the reporter, his words resonating with millions who felt he had struck a nerve about the nature of media bias and respect. However, not everyone viewed the incident favorably. Critics questioned why Barron had been allowed to speak at all, with some arguing that the moment was staged for publicity. Conspiracy theories emerged, accusing the Trump family of using the situation to distract from other political issues. Mark Stanley, the reporter at the center of the controversy, remained silent for days, his credibility taking a significant hit as audiences dissected his behavior and motivations. Barron, for his part, was taken aback by the overwhelming attention. Accustomed to living a relatively private life despite his family's fame, he found himself suddenly thrust into the spotlight. Friends and classmates reached out, offering their support and commending his courage. However, the sudden influx of media scrutiny was overwhelming. Paparazzi began following him more aggressively, and tabloids ran speculative stories about his personality, his schooling, and his future. Melania, seeing the pressure mounting on her son, took action. She released a statement through her spokesperson, urging the media and public to respect Barron's privacy. My son spoke from the heart, the statement read. He defended his mother as any child would. Let us remember that he is still a young man, finding his way in a world that often judges too harshly. I ask that we focus on the causes that matter, not on creating unnecessary narratives. The statement only fueled more discussion, with prominent figures stepping into the conversation. Celebrities, political commentators, and educators weighed in, sparking a broader debate about the expectations placed on public figures' children. While some lauded Barron for his courage, others criticized the intense scrutiny he faced, arguing that no teenager should bear the weight of such attention. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, the Trump family rallied together. Donald Trump, though typically vocal on social media, refrained from commenting directly on the incident. Instead, he privately praised Barron for standing up for his mother, expressing pride in his son's strength and eloquence. Melania, on the other hand, focused on ensuring Barron remained grounded despite the media frenzy. As the dust began to settle, one thing became clear. Barron Trump had inadvertently become a symbol of grace under fire. His moment of courage sparked conversations about respect, the role of the media, and the unexpected ways young people can impact public discourse. But for Barron, it was never about making headlines or sparking debates. It was about protecting his mother and speaking his truth, no matter the consequences. In the aftermath of the public confrontation, Barron Trump's words continued to reverberate far beyond the press conference room. While many were initially stunned by his eloquence and composure, the broader impact of his actions began to unfold in unexpected ways. For Melania Trump, the incident was deeply emotional. She had always maintained a quiet elegance in the face of criticism, but seeing her son stand up for her in such a powerful way brought tears to her eyes. In private, she expressed her pride and gratitude, telling Barron that his actions had not only defended her honor, but also reminded her of the values they had instilled in him: respect, loyalty, and courage. Their bond grew even stronger, with Melania making a conscious effort to spend more quality time with Barron, ensuring he knew how much his support meant to her. The public's reaction to the event was overwhelming. People from all walks of life praised Barron's maturity and wisdom, with many highlighting the need for such a grounded perspective in today's divisive world. Social media was flooded with messages of admiration, and the hashtag #BarronSpeaks began trending, sparking discussions about the importance of respecting individuals regardless of their public status. The liberal reporter who had tried to humiliate Melania faced intense backlash. His network quickly issued an apology, acknowledging that his behavior was inappropriate and unprofessional. The reporter himself was suspended and later resigned, citing the incident as a moment of deep personal reflection. In a surprising turn, he publicly apologized to both Melania and Barron, admitting that his actions had been driven by bias rather than journalistic integrity. Barron's response, he stated in a heartfelt letter, showed me what true dignity looks like. The incident also reignited conversations about the ethical boundaries of journalism and the treatment of public figures and their families. Advocacy groups called for stricter guidelines to protect children of prominent individuals from undue scrutiny, emphasizing that no one, regardless of their family background, should be subjected to unwarranted attacks. Barron, however, chose to move forward with humility. Despite the overwhelming attention, he remained focused on his studies and personal goals. In private, he began supporting his mother's initiatives quietly, often helping her organize events aimed at promoting kindness and empathy among youth. His actions, though subtle, inspired many, proving that true leadership is often demonstrated through quiet, impactful deeds rather than grand gestures. Over time, the moment became a defining chapter in Barron Trump's life. It solidified his reputation as a poised and thoughtful young man, capable of navigating the complexities of his unique position. For the Trump family, it was a reminder of their resilience and the strength that came from unity and mutual support. Years later, as Barron reflected on the event, he remarked that the experience taught him a valuable lesson. Respect and kindness aren't signs of weakness. They're the strongest tools we have to bridge divides and build understanding. His words, much like his actions that day, left a lasting impression, serving as a testament to the power of standing up for what is right, even in the face of immense pressure.